Hello everyone, welcome to Chat Night Africa, live from Washington DC, metropolitan area.
We're gonna party hard. We're gonna boogie.
This is Chat Night Africa about to begin.
And when we jam, it's out of sight. This song right here.
Chat Night Africa live matters that matter. If it matters to you, it matters to us. This is Chat Night Africa live.
I'm coming back. I'm coming to get down. We're gonna get down. We're gonna get down. We're gonna dance. We're gonna dance.
On Chat Night Africa today, production director Beatrice Winning, and we have our correspondents in West Africa, Emmanuel Wayindi and John Tanton Matchfire. This is Chat Night Africa about to begin.
I'm dancing. We're gonna dance. We're gonna dance. We're gonna party hard. We're gonna boogie.
Hello everyone and welcome to this week's edition of Chat Night Africa. It's going to be
this song right here. It's dynamite.
And my guest today, they're controversial, outspoken, Veronica Forchu, live from Seattle, Washington State, United States of America. This is Chat Night Africa.
I'm dancing. I'm ready. I'm coming. We're gonna dance. We're gonna dance.
Chat Night Africa live.
I'm coming back.
I'm coming back.
I'm coming back.
This is your host,
I'm coming.
Divine Chamoko.
I'm coming to get down. I'm coming.
Hello
I'm coming
ladies.
to dance.
This is your day.
We're gonna dance.
What is it that men do
We're gonna dance.
that drive you bananas?
We're gonna dance. We're gonna dance.
Your defense attorney,
We're gonna get down.
Veronica Forchu, will come blowing fire on the platform like she usually does. This is Chat Night Africa live.
We'll jam. It's out of sight. This song right here. It's dynamite. I'm ready. I'm coming. I'm coming back. I'm coming back.
Yes, I am right here. Thank you for coming on. I see many people coming on the line, and we have an interesting conversation today. Some people call it whatever. Well, but let me ask you, you ladies watching, are there times that this guy just gets on your last nerve, that you feel like you should just pack and leave, that you want to tell him enough is enough? But what is it that this guy could be doing that drives you to the edge? Well, we have a very controversial conversation today at Chat Night Africa. And as I said earlier on, the person to take my question or my questions will be Veronica Forchu. When this lady comes, she spits fire. Ladies and gentlemen, it's about to get very breezy. We want to make this interactive. Are you ready for this song? Before she comes in. This is Chat Night Africa live from Washington DC, metropolitan area, and your host is Divine Chamoko. If you're ready for this lovely show, well, okay, you better be, because if you ask for Firewood Kitchen, you better be ready for smoke. Veronica Forchu, I can see her on the line already. She will spit fire. It will be fire and brimstone. Firestorm on the platform today. This is Chat Night Africa live.
Just leave that. She's my lady. She's my baby. She's coming to me.
Invite your friends, share tag. This is going to be a deeply transformative show. Warning, we may have adult content on the show, so if you have children children in the house, please send them into their rooms. This is Chat Night Africa Live with Divine Campbell from your host, live from Washington, D.C., metropolitan area. Ladies, this is your day. What is it that man is doing that drive you crazy, driving you nuts? We have you on your side of the story today.
Let me tell you something about that lady I took you. Let me tell you something about that lady I took you.
In just a moment, Veronica Forchu, live from Seattle, Washington State, live on the platform. I can see her on the line already.
She's coming to see me.
I can tell you with Veronica Forchu on the show, there will be fireworks. Fireworks. Are you ready for this? You better be.
Hey, you my brother. Just leave it. I'm blood man.
Chat Night Africa Live from Washington, D.C. metropolitan area.
Let's go to this, man. Come on. Let's go, man. Hey, man, I said it, man. This is crazy, man. The woman, man. Hey, come on.
This is Chat Night Africa Live from Washington, D.C. metropolitan area.
Hey, you my brother.
Hey, you my brother.
Let me tell you something.
I have something to tell you this evening.
About that lady I took me. Hey, you my brother.
Invite your
Let me
friends.
tell you something.
Share that
About
this
that lady I
program.
took me.
This is Chat Night Africa Live from Washington, D.C. metropolitan area.
My lady. She is my baby. She's coming to see me. She is my lady. She's my baby. Just leave her. She is my lady. She is my baby.
Hello, everyone. Once again, welcome to this jaunty, blustery edition of Chat Night Africa. And I say this because I know who is coming on the platform in just a moment. Veronica Forchu will spit fire. There will be fireworks on the show in just a moment. On Mother's Day, we did the show, What Do Women Do That Send Their Boyfriends, Their Husbands, into the waiting laps of side chicks. We promised you that we'll take the other side of the story soon and very soon. At Chat Night Africa, we keep our promise. So today the question, Madam, ladies, you watching, what is it that men do that gets on your last nerve? That make you want to say, my friend, enough is enough. It's time to go. The content is going to be spicy. Now, before we bring in, sometimes people call her controversial when they don't agree with her because she doesn't always come to say what you want to hear. But I can tell you that the content today will be transformative. Before we start, I'd like to thank all of you for coming in your great numbers online. Share this video. Help somebody. Now, you may say that what we're going to talk about, you already know. Yes, you know. But you go to church every Sunday, not because they're telling you something that you've never heard. You go there because sometimes it triggers you to think deeper. It freshens you up. We are about to retool ourselves so that we can function a lot better in our relationships. Men, I don't want you to continue to step on the last nerves of women. We will hear what Veronica Forchu wants to say. Somebody wrote that to understand a woman, trying to understand a woman, is like trying to read all the books in the biggest library on this planet, which is the United States of America Library of Congress. To what extent is that statement true? Well, ladies and gentlemen, I am about now to hook up with Veronica Forchu. Hang on. And in just a moment, Mrs. Forchu will be appearing on my screen. 4210. Hello, Mrs. Forchu.
Hello. Hello.
Very
Can you all
good.
see me?
Yes, we see you. Lighting is good. We see you.
Okay.
We're glad to have you back. And as I said, we keep our promises. We said we'll come back with you, and here you are. Question number one. Are you ready for this?
See, Chat Night Africa, he won't even give me time to take a breath, like just to breathe some fresh air, you know? All righty, let's go on. I'm ready. Bring it on.
Very good. And today, Mrs. Forchu has promised, like she did the last time, to bring down the roof. I am sure you are ready for that. And Mrs. Forchu has some of the most outrageous stories of men mistreating women, especially in the United States of America. She will tell you some of the stories today. Mrs. Veronica, the first question I have for you: are women, you women, just complicated by nature or by nurture? Do you make yourselves complicated, or God made you just complicated? Now, I ask you this question because somebody said, if you're trying to understand a woman, you might as well just go and start reading all the textbooks in the Library of Congress in the United States. Is that statement true?
You're breaking up. I don't know if it's your connection or it's mine, but you're coming up. You're breaking up. So ask the audience if they hear the same thing I hear.
Okay, audience, if the sound quality is right, please send me a thumbs up. We need to know. Now, the first question I am asking you, Mrs. Forchu, is that somebody said, if you're trying to understand a woman, you might as well just go start reading all the textbooks in the Library of Congress. Question is, are women just complicated by nature, or you women make yourselves complicated?
All right. The first thing I'm going to say about that question is that many of our relationships started wrong. Many of us are married to strangers. We don't know who we're married to. And the person you're married to, that person should not be that complicated for you to understand them. Your wife should not be complicated if you really understand who you got married to. So I don't think women are any more complicated than men are. You just need to understand and know who you're married to. And there's no one single module that we use in a single home. Every home is unique, and every home has its own, ups and downs. And you cannot use one home to model everyone else's home. So we shouldn't make that mistake.
Now, if you cannot use one home to model another person's home, what is counseling all about? I mean, when you counsel people, what are you telling them?
I come from the direction of knowing that person. I avoid using the things that happen in my home because I come from the area where I try to understand you, that individual coming to me, and understanding your husband as well. And I put the two together and I said, okay, your husband is this way and you're this way. So I don't cancel you using, because the man that you're married to is not my husband. They're not the same people, and they're not going to behave the same way. Two individuals, you see, the diversity of life is that the people that we meet are so diverse. And so if I'm using Paul to mirror Peter, then there's going to be conflict. That's where there's a lot of conflict here, because a woman, you can come and see the way my husband is, and you think that that's how every man ought to be. If I tell you the work that I've put in it, you won't understand. That's why I'm so ready to punch everybody. And so we have to, you work on making what you want out of your partner.
I'm going to ask you a personal question, if you don't mind. I mean, I know your husband. He's a wonderful guy, handsome guy. I don't know, honestly, where you got this, you grabbed this guy. Are there times Valerie drives you nuts? Are there times Valerie drives you nuts?
Oh, yeah.
He looks like a very nice guy.
Of course.
So who is a nice guy and who is not?
Of course, I tell people that don't see what you see on Facebook and conclude and think that we don't have a down moment. We do have moments that we argue, we fight, we get on each other's nerves. We say, this is it, I'm done with you. I don't want this no more. This is not what I signed up for. Yeah, we do have those moments. We have those moments. Like I said, over time, you grow in love, and you start to understand better your partner, you understand better your wife, and relationships require sacrifice. It requires endurance. It requires patience. And so if you're coming in looking for a ready-made person that is already made straight and there are no mistakes, then you're setting yourself up for failure.
Relationship requires endurance, sacrifice. Mrs. Forchu, you counsel people. You talk to women. What are the things women complain the most about husbands? How do husbands get on the nerves, on the last nerves of their wives? That at some point it's like, I'm done. I've got to leave.
In the diaspora, I will tell you that the most issues and complaint that couples have and that women have is when the baby comes in. Prior to them being married and single and have no child, everything is smooth and everything is sugar and everything is going good. Once the baby comes in, that is where I say that we need family counseling. We need to prepare our African men when the wife is pregnant. Men need classes to understand that once the baby comes, things are going to change. A lot of African men are not prepared for that time when for post natal period. We see a lot of the women that come to me, they suffer postpartum depression, and a lot of African men don't understand what that is. You have a baby, oh yes, you're not the first person that has had a baby, so get over it. Oh no, it's deeper and it's more than that because your hormones are involved. And this is the time that these women need the most support. They don't get the support. What the men do is they run away, they evade that period by going out there to look for comfort, and they forget that the woman is going through a season in her life that's when she needs the man at that time to sacrifice for her as well. African men don't understand that. I say African men because that is the most problem that is going on here. I don't know if there are any classes available to educate our men that when the baby comes, there's going to be a time of sacrifice from both the husband and the wife.
What do you mean by sacrifice?
Here, men, the more you step in and you assist the woman during that time, the more you're giving her time to heal. Now, we have a problem of sex during that time. The woman needs her body to heal. The man needs his sex and need. And he does not understand that while the woman is going through that period, sex is the last thing that is on her mind. And men don't understand that. And I think that the more we sit and have conversations about the fact that the woman's body is healing at that time, and she's emotionally, physically, she's drained, she's going through a time where her body needs to actually heal, and that the man will have to sacrifice sometimes some weeks. You're going to have to sacrifice. If you have a woman that went through a C-section and complicated delivery, some women not even have C-section, they have natural birth, and their vajayjay is torn, and they have stitches. You don't expect to be going down there to have sex with a woman that has stitches and she's not healed. And men don't understand that sometimes. And women are frustrated that you don't understand that I am going through a time. This thing has to heal. So men don't understand that. And I think that we need to start teaching our men and educating our men. And that will start from the mothers. I am a mother, and I think I have to start teaching my son that these are the things that happen in a woman's body. Mothers need to start preparing their children for that time, because I'm telling you, it's the number one thing that is breaking homes. When the baby comes, things change. Things change.
Is it just about the fact that the man cannot have sex as much as he wants?
It's the number one problem. In my inbox, I have a lot of men back home. Now let me go back to Africa. The African men that have come to say, this is a problem I'm having in my house. My wife doesn't seem to satisfy me sexually the way she used to now that the baby has come. That is a problem that men are having. And we need to educate them about the transformation in the woman's body. Like, seriously. It's a time, it's a period that it will come to pass. But the woman needs your support. It's not a time for you to start belittling your wife and insulting her and calling her all names, or go out there and then come back and not pay her any attention. The more you do that, the more the gap, you're putting that gap between the two of you. And by the time you guys want to come back to close the gap, it's going to be some people succeed in doing, some people don't. It finally just breaks some people apart. A lot of young girls now, baby in the hand, husband is nowhere to be found, he's gone because he needs his sex. Like I said, sex is a need. Men need it. But then how do we come in the middle?
This is Chat Night Africa Live, and my guest is connecting remotely from Seattle, Washington State. That's Mrs. Veronica Forchu. Some people call her controversial. Some people say she's very outspoken. She came here and did a lot of work, and many people effusively praised her for that on Mother's Day. Now, what are some of the things that women are complaining about, that it's just at some point they want to just pack up and leave? Enough is enough. What is it that just turns women off in some other ways, apart from the baby coming in between?
You know, I watch your pre-show, and I've seen a lot of the things that some of women were talking about. Those are some of the minute things that would turn a woman off. But there's a major thing that will make a woman want to walk away. Those little minute things that I read, and some of the things that I had them jotted down, because as I was thinking, I'm like, you know, because over time I have overcome those things with my husband, and so they're not an issue for me anymore, right? But it's still an issue for some people. But they used to be an issue until I understood you know, the person that he is, and sacrificing, and, you know, understanding, being patient, and overcoming some of those things by grace. So they're not a problem for me. Things like men who walk on the street and the spit, that thing is nasty. I hate it. You're walking with your husband or your boyfriend and he just spits on the streets. It's nasty. It's a turn off. My whole time is gone. I don't like drunkards, people who drink and get drunk, and you come home at night, you want to touch your woman, you're smelling of alcohol. It's a turn off. Men, if you're always talking about your ex to your wife, that is a turn off. You cannot always be introducing your ex and comparing who that person was because your wife makes you angry and you said, oh, this person was like this. That is a serious turn off. We talk about men who snore. Snoring, I hate it. I hate any man who snores. Snoring could be a medical issue, and so let's try to fix it. But I cannot sleep if you're snoring. Mr. Forchu will tell you he doesn't snore anymore, but he used to, and I will be punching him. You know, if I can't sleep, you're not gonna sleep. If he snores, I will poke him with my ankle, like, you know, yeah. And so I try to touch his nose and I wake him up, and you know, he over time he doesn't snore anymore. Talking about mama's boys, men who are mama's boys, we have a whole lot of them. When you have to take permission from your mother to run your home, that is a turn off to your woman. We have a lot of mama boys where they need their mother's opinion in everything they do, even in their house. As old as you are, your mama always have to give you her opinion. You need to grow up. That's a sign of immaturity, and we don't like that. Men who are arrogant. You're arrogant is a turn off. Personally, I don't like any man who is arrogant. I will go, if I was still dating and I date a man who's arrogant, I will never return your phone call. After that first date, I'm done. That's it. Goodbye. And narcissistic men, like our dear president, Donald Trump. Men like that, you're only gonna have a woman when you have money to keep her around. You will not find a woman to love you. She'll love your money. But that attitude, men who brag, men who lie, oh my goodness, men who lie. See, before your woman comes to you to ask about something, if I'm telling you that who is that girl you're talking to, know that I already did my investigation. I did my findings, and I already have my information, and I'm just waiting for you to say that you're sorry. But if you're trying to keep lying and lying, that thing will never go away. We'll talk about it to infinity, because I will always bring it up, because I've not had closure. Women want closure when they think that they caught you in an act and you keep lying about it. They will be nagging. You see, you don't want to hear a woman that nags. Will nag about that problem until the day you say yes, oh yeah, it was a mistake, and then we let it go. But if you want to keep lying about it, then you're putting your own self in trouble, because I will be nagging about the thing. I will talk about it every day. I will remind you it every day, because I know you're lying. Before we come to say, who is that girl texting you? I already have my information. I'm not coming for you to tell me that, oh no, I don't know the person, because I know you know the person. But when you're lying, it's like you're playing me small. I don't like any man that, you know, thinks I'm stupid for me to, yeah, before I come, I already have my information. Okay. Men who talk about men who lie, and men who flirt a lot with other women. You go to the party with your wife, and then you go and start flirting. I don't care if there were people that you knew before. If you're going to go before any other woman, I need to be with you. Carry me along. And by the time you're saying, this is Mrs. Forchu, that's what I want to hear. If you don't introduce me as Mrs. Forchu, then you leave room for me to start suspecting that there's something going on. So you have to take me and say, what did I say? Say, this is Mrs. Forchu. Hello, this is Mrs. Forchu. A lot of men don't know that. They take it for granted. Oh, I'm married to you. Never know. Not everybody don't know. Some women, until you tell them, you know. So if you're going to go and greet that your old friend that is a girl, you're taking me with you. Or if not, let her come and meet you where you are, and then greet you, and then you introduce me. If you don't introduce me, then there's a problem. All right, Needy. Then the one thing, me, I don't know about other women. I've been listening, and I hear they say he made a mistake and he cheated. He made a mistake and he cheated. He made a mistake and he cheated. When we go back to where we start treating our marriages as what it is, holy sacrament, it is a secret thing. Marriage is a secret thing, and everybody has to treat it as such. When you treat your marriage just anyhow, just like like some obligation. You just got married because people wanted you to get married, because you want to satisfy your father or your family, and you got married, and you don't understand the implication of what that institution is all about. You will treat it anyhow. I so respect the institution of marriage that when I leave my home, I know I am beautiful, I know I am attractive. I put my face in such a way that I am wounded. You won't even have the chance to even approach me to say, hello, young lady. Oh, no, 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 no. You won't. So I draw the line right there. Everybody understands that this is where this woman stands. She's married and respectful, and that's the message. A lot of our men don't pass that message along. You know why? Because they still enjoy their the attention they're getting from all these girls and all these women, and you leave room for yourself to be able to be vulnerable and become a victim, and then you say you made a mistake. See, there are consequences of every mistake we make. You make a mistake, be ready to pay the consequences. If my husband cheats, I know he's watching me, and I've said it so many times. If my husband cheats, that's the end of the road. Eh? I'm not waiting for number 2 to say he made a mistake, he will fix it and he won't do it again. If you cheat and I find out that you cheat, that's it for me. So I don't know about other women be saying that he made a mistake. What you tolerate, it will repeat itself. If you want couples to start respecting the marriage institution, there's got to be some line. We keep tolerating. For years, we have been tolerating cheating, especially from men. They will cheat and come and you say the man made a mistake. And that's why we have a lot of women walking around today, hurt, bitter, angry, because they have tolerated being treated like that for so many years. And now you're in a new relationship and you cannot move forward because you're still in your past. You're still in that hurt, and you're still in the bitterness from what happened to you in that relationship. You tolerated it for years. You tolerate it for years, and it goes vice versa. But because we're talking about men today, this is for men. Men need to start taking the institution of marriage seriously. We will not be having issues like side chicks. Take that energy you're spending out there with another girl, invest on trying to build your home. Unless you're just married to a bad woman, unless you're just naturally married to an evil woman. Take that energy. It's not every little thing that happens in your home you're getting ready to run. Because men think they have options, they can easily walk away. There are very few men like Mr. Forchu that are family men, and he won't want his family to break, so he does everything to keep his family together. Hey babe, I know you're watching, but
This is Chat Night Africa Live, and I told you when Mrs. Forchu comes on, there will be fireworks on the platform. Well, now you believe me. Mrs. Forchu, you talk about mistakes. Don't you believe in second chances? I mean,
oh no,
this
when
guy
it comes
cheats.
to cheating. Oh yeah.
Why not?
Oh, so why do you consider cheating as a mistake? Cheating, to me, cheating is a premeditated act. You know you were going to unzip your pants. Nobody did it for you. You unzipped it. You took it yourself and you put it inside that hole. You were not in a trance. Were you? You were conscious. Even when you drink and you get drunk, you should be mature enough to know that when alcohol reaches this level, get out of the environment. Get out of the environment. Just like you see in the United States, every mistake you make follows you. Why shouldn't we treat our homes like that? Nidi, let me ask our audience a question. If a woman cheats, she has no second chance. They kick her out of the house. Why do we think that when men cheat, we have to give them second chances when the women don't have a second chance? Can somebody answer that question for me?
Ladies, we want to hear from you, ladies. There are lots of women watching. What is it that turns you off? What is it that your boyfriend or your husband does that drive you bananas? We want to hear from you. Post your questions. Mrs. Veronica Forchu will react to them. Yes, Mrs. Forchu. And share this broadcast. If you like what you're hearing, if you think it can help somebody, please share the broadcast. Go on, Mrs. Forchu.
A lot of women that have come to me have issues with the way their husbands handle in-law problems. Thanks be to God, Mr. Forchu was too quick to learn, and he did, did it right. But a lot of women, not me, I don't have that problem, now, but a lot of women are having issues with the way their husbands handle in-law problems. I don't know how we can help our men to understand how to differentiate the role you give your wife and the role you give your family, because a lot of women are suffering from that. In the middle of the night, the woman staying awake crying and weeping because her husband has taken sides with his family against her. Here's the one thing. The Bible says the man will leave his father and mother, and you will cleave to your wife, and the two of you will become one. So once you get married, that is your new family. Your first obligation now is to that woman. Men, am I talking? Your first obligation is to that woman. And a lot of our men, African men, have not known how to make that differentiation.
Why is that so? Is it because, is it a cultural problem?
I think it is a cultural problem. It is a cultural problem. And because we're in the diaspora and we have walked away from a lot of cultural things, it's not going to work in this in this part of the world. That culture is not going to work here. It's not going to work here, because in the diaspora, running a home now is partnership. It's not like back home where the man is responsible for everything. Partnership. And so that woman thinks she has a voice. And besides, that is her home. The truth be told, that house is that woman's house. This is some of the things that we don't talk about. That home becomes that woman's home. And we don't make it clear to your wife or your family that this house. We so respect men that we direct their families back to their wives. You come for something and the man will tell you, go tell my wife. Those men, let me tell you, we respect them. I, for one, I respect them. But when you don't toe the line, now your family minimizes your wife, and then they're coming to you, and you let it go on. Let me tell you, that woman is dying in the inside because her role in that house has been usurped. They've usurped her position. And she might not say it. She might not complain, because the thing is that, you complain. No, they will be dying in the inside. And some of those are some of the things that will be killing a woman emotionally, where she will just be she will not make love to you. She'll just be having sex as an obligation, that I'm married to you and the Bible says I should have sex with you, not that she's involved. Those things kill the woman emotionally when you come and take her place in the house and the man doesn't talk. So I have a lot of those women coming to complain that, can you imagine, my husband took sides. He took his family side and left me. And another woman where the husband joined his family to beat his wife. Yes.
That's shocking.
Oh yeah, joined his family to beat the wife.
Mrs. Forchu, let me ask you this. Are you just being creative, or these are things that really happen?
These are things that happen. So it got so bad to the point where neighbors call the police. And that's how the man left the house. If not, they will be punching her and cooking her the sister would join the brother to beat the wife in the house.
Let me ask you this question, Mrs. Forchu. And I see our viewers are debating among themselves. Yes, you can put a question, you can post a question, and another viewer can react to that question.
Unfortunately,
yes,
I
you were saying something.
I cannot see the comments.
Don't worry.
You know, the comments are hidden from me. So
that's okay. If it's a question that needs to be directed to you, I will do that. And after the show, Mrs. Forchu will go into the green room and answer or interact with you also. So even when the show is over, it is not over yet. Mrs. Forchu will respond to your question. The question I want to ask you, Mrs. Forchu, is when people are dating, it's like they cannot live without each other. What happens that we start seeing the issue of arrogance, lying, side chicks, mothers-in-law becoming unbearable in the house? Why is it all this coming in only after the marriage? After all the confetti, after the beautiful wedding is ended, the confetti is gone. Why is it that it is this time that is coming in? What happens? Where is the devil coming from?
Now.
Before you say now what? Now, I want to tell you that the devil doesn't bring a caterpillar. The devil has no caterpillar. It doesn't come and bulldoze your house. But what are the experiences?
It's not always the devil's fault. It's not always the devil's fault. Men, I will tell you, some of the men that are enjoying peace and harmony in their homes are men that have learned to say yes to their wives. That's just it. Your wife is always right. It doesn't matter. Your wife is always right.
They say in America, they say in America that the wife is the boss.
She's always right. If you want to be arguing with your wife, that's your problem. Okay, here, me, I'll take myself as an example. I am where I am. It's by the grace of God. I will tell you, my Christian foundation has grounded me a whole lot. I used to be one of those that was very impatient, that at every little thing, you see, all those things are listed. I would have been gone a long time ago. Now, which kind of man this way work at speed for roads? Me, I'll run. Oh, which kind of man this way, you know, it is snow. I will run. Oh, but the grace of God upon my life and where I am, and because first I'm famous, the fear of the Lord is what is guiding me in living according to his word. I'm trying to my best to obey the word of God. And so there are times when I see myself doing contrary to what the word of God says, I quickly bring myself back in check. So my Christian foundation is putting my own behavior in check. I'm checking my own self. What is it that you're doing? Before, it was difficult for me to tell my husband that I'm sorry, because at the end of the day, he was always the one that was wrong. I never saw myself that I was wrong in anything. It was only him that was wrong. And so I will argue and make it, and so that he will feel guilt until he will be the one to say that I'm sorry. But because of the grace of God, and I started to reevaluate my own self. What does God require you to do as a minister of the Lord? What example are you showing to other people? What is it? The people are watching you. And so I'm putting myself in check. And so I will tell couples, your foundation matters. Any marriage that is not built on the foundation of Christ, you're not built on a Christian values, you want to do it yourself, you will struggle and you will struggle. When you understand that the person that you're fighting is not your husband. The Bible says that we wrestle not against flesh and blood. It is not my husband that is a problem. It's a spirit that is behind it. And so when I'm praying against that spirit that is coming. Lord, give me understanding, to understand what am I supposed to do in that situation? How am I supposed to make it less heated so that the issue doesn't carry on for too long? So I'm going to say that our foundation matters. Our foundation matters. Many of our relationships start on a very wrong foundation. That's why I say that we marry to people that we don't know. That's why when you get in the home, Dating is different. No, you will date because I visit you, you visit me. Once we start living under the same roof and you start seeing my weaknesses and you start seeing who I am, because many of us, we can pretend very well. We hide our bad side very well. We can hide it for the next 2 years. Once you start living with a person, then you start discovering those bad things. That's why marriage says for better or for worse. So you should be ready when you start seeing those bad things in the person. Quickly, if you had a Christian foundation, you will go back to the Lord for wisdom. How do I handle this? Do we just divorce and separate, and then you go to the next person and you discover something in them you don't like, and then you divorce and you separate? When you go to
But
the
that's
next
exactly the
person,
problem. Mrs. Forchu, forgive me, I'm going to interrupt you here. Two things. The first thing, note this. Some women say that men take them for granted, and that's a turnoff. I'd like you to explain what that means. Men take some women for, what is taking a woman for granted?
taking women for granted. Yes. That used to be one of the things that will bother me. When you think that you're doing all you can to run the home as a mother, to be a wife, and do all you can, and then the man is not appreciative of what you're doing, or the man is making major decisions in the home without you being involved, or the man that takes measure takes advice from his family and not from you, like you're basically not in the picture. I think that that is disrespectful and that you're taking me for granted. um for a man that will flirt in front of his wife, will no remorse, men that will go out and be collecting women's numbers, you're taking your wife for granted. You're taking her for granted, or you're caught in an act and then you say, I won't do it, and then you do it again. That's taking your partner for granted. And that is something that is very typical with men. Women take their husbands for granted. Is a man that, is a good father and he's doing what he's supposed to do and he's spending the money, and then you hide your own finances and you just let the man be spending, and you're taking that man's kindness for granted. And it's vice versa. It can happen the same for men, where if your woman is sacrificing and she's decided to help you in one project or the other, and then you hide your finances and she's not aware that this you have this amount of money, you just want to use it for your own personal interest, and the wife is not aware, and then you're making her take care of the bills while you are taking care of your side chicks out there. You're spending your family money to take care of girlfriends, and your wife is in their house running their house, and you claim you don't have money, but you have money to take care of a side chick. That is taking your wife for granted. That's taking me for granted.
Another question I want to, you talk so much about Christianity, and I do understand because of your background. So a lot of the things you say are informed by your Christian faith. But we see a lot of fights. We see some men who behave like 16th century tyrants, monarchs in the church. You go home, they're like
yes,
tyrants. Is it that they hear the gospel here and it gets out very quickly the other side, or what is going on? Why can't the government? Yeah, go ahead, please.
Not everybody that calls the name of Christ is of Christ. Not everybody that goes to church is a Christian. And the truth about it is that Christianity today is based on half truths. The church is not telling people a lot of truth. Today, all the church is doing is preparing people to prosper. They're teaching you prosperity messages. They're not teaching you the message of the cross that convicts people in such a way that a pastor that is a wife beater can go to church and stand in front of the pulpit and pretend, because he's not convicted. The messages aren't convicting people. We have messages that are just based on growing your finances, growing this, breakthrough, a financial this. becoming CEO, earning the earth, running this. We don't have messages that convict people. Then telling you that if you're a pastor and you beat your wife, that is against the principles of Christ. That is not love. If you love your wife, you've never touched her. They don't like messages that make them feel guilty. And pastors are deviating from those messages because they're afraid of losing members. The church is telling half truth. I will tell you that if that is happening in the church, that church has failed. The church has failed to teach its members the fundamental truth about what the message of the cross is.
Mrs. Forchu, when I hear you say husbands beating their wives, it gives me migraines. I don't understand how the woman you want to sleep with in bed, to scratch your back, you are beating that woman. I don't get it. Probably because I have girl children, adult girl children, but it is insane for any man to do that. What do you tell women? Because somebody asked here, are there any mistakes above forgiveness? What do you tell women who are so egregiously abused? Forgive, second chance, third chance. What should you tell women who are being violently treated by men? That's unacceptable. It shouldn't happen. I don't care what the reason is.
It is unacceptable to any woman at all. If you are in a relationship, currently in a relationship, and the man is putting his hands on you, I will tell you to leave. Leave that relationship. If you're afraid of financial stability, get out of it. Contact me, Veronica Forchu. I will raise up people that will raise money to help you start your life, rather than we raising money to go and bury you. Because it only takes a man to hit you in the wrong place, and you don't raise, and you're gone, and you abandon your children, and then he gets married to another woman that will come and maltreat your children. If you're in a relationship and that man is beating you, leave. If the man so love you, he will not put his hands on you. Like, seriously. That is the only thing. And I told my husband knows, if you don't ever let the devil even tempt you to raise your hands on me, because the day you put your hand on me like this is tantamount to you cheating. I'm done. Like, seriously, you cannot claim to love somebody and at the same time you're punching on the person like a bat. But you know, it's a spirit and a spell on some of our men that needs to be broken. You know, I always will take it in a spiritual way. It's a spirit that needs to be broken. Some of it is generational. Some of our men watch their fathers beat their mothers, and they've taken it as that it's normal because they saw the father do it. And nobody ever cautioned that it is wrong for you to lay your hands on a woman. And so they've carried that culture in them, and they see nothing wrong in you hurting the person that you're married to, the mother of your child. If the woman has cheated on you, leave. Down. You come back, pack her things, and send her out of your house. There's no need beating her. After you have beaten her, have you reversed the cheating act? The cheating still remains. She has cheated. You cannot change it. Beating her and killing her, you won't change the fact that she has cheated. Let her go.
This is Chat Night Africa live, and my name is Divine Chamakong. I'm your host. My guest today is Mrs. Veronica Forchu, live from Seattle, Washington State. When we started the show, I said the contents could become very spicy. And so if you have children in the room, you probably want to move them a little bit away. Mrs. Forchu, on Mother's Day, you said men don't want sex. Men need sex. Sex is food for men. Take us into the bedroom. What are you hearing that are a turn-off to women as behavior by men?
It was broken a little bit. So what do I hear as a turn off to women as revealed by men? Is that what the question
Correct.
says?
In the bedroom. Because last time on Mother's Day, you said men don't want sex, men need sex to function. What?
Exactly.
Are you hearing me very well? Yes. So what are some of the things that can very quickly get on a woman's nerves in the bedroom?
A man that is inconsiderate. When I talk about being inconsiderate, let me say this: the man that, because sex is something that men need, you just think that you're the only one that has to have orgasm, and then you come and you have sex and you have orgasm, and that's it. You get off the woman, you clean yourself, and life continues. You got in what you want, and you don't think that the woman too needs to be satisfied. And so that is a thing that would gradually kill a woman. But thank God to Mr. Forchu. He's Mr. Forchu. let me let me not go there, ladies, because if I say it, some of you want to fish him out. So let me just bypass that part of it. So a man that does not consider his woman's feeling and sexual needs as well in the bedroom, a man that, so here is the thing: if you are insultive and you have a bad mouth, and then you insult your wife and you have a bad mouth, and then you're expecting her to climb on the bed and still be sexy and give it to you all, that's not going to happen. She's just going to do it because she wants to do it. She's not involved in it. Men, you want it, there's a way to get it. You want it, there's a way to get it. Women too need to be cajoled. Women too need to be flattered. Women too need to be treated like pearl and jewel. So there's a way you usher your woman into the bedroom. She's not just come here and, you know, as soon as she sees that thing is erect, she just has to understand. No, there's a way you usher it. Pamper her too. And then
There
I'll
is
say
something.
that.
There is something. My producer Beatrice Forminen says. She says, "Bad mouth odor." This has to do with hygiene, I guess.
Oh yes, yes, yes. I like to kiss a lot, and so if you have a bad mouth, you have already killed the sex now. How would I come close to you if I have bad mouth? But then the people that is a medical issue, they will call that halitosis. It's a medical issue that some people, it doesn't matter how they brush their teeth, it doesn't matter the amount of hygiene they do, and they floss it, and they do dental, hygiene, and they see a dentist. The halitosis and the other comes from your GI tract. It comes from your belly, and until you do cleansing and you do some detoxing to detox that the toxin in your GI tract, that odor is not going to be taken care of. And so it has to be from the inside. And so what we eat as well contribute to the mouth odor we have. I remember that when I was dating, I actually ran away from a relationship because that person had serious mouth odor. Oh my God, it was so pungent, like crazy. And then when I got into nursing school, and I understand that some people, it's a medical problem. It's a medical
Well,
problem. And
guys,
if that is your husband, then you have to help him in that. If that was my husband going through that, I will send him for medical checkup. And so
Mrs.
yeah.
Fortu, another comment comes on romantic men. What does a woman expect of a man in terms of romance? The man should do what? This is very important because the subject this evening, and we're not going to tiptoe around any issues here today. The subject here is, what do men do that turn women off, that get on their last nerves? Beatrice says, on romantic men. What, in your view, is a romantic man?
In a way, I just touched about it, talking about men that will just get in the bedroom and just go straight into having sex after you've insulted your woman and stuff like that. Let me take example. My husband, Mr. Forchu, he does it in such a way that you're always wanting. If I'm not in the mood of wanting to make love to him, is because school puts stress in your head. Me, I'm an A student, and when my grade is tampered with, then sex has to wait. But Mr. Fortune does it in such a way that here he's clean, he smells good. The way that man smells, like he sprays like 10 different perfumes on his body. He smells so good. He's on these, he takes care, he recycles them. They're always looking new. That every time he gets in bed, he brushes his teeth like 3 times a day. Every time he eats, he has to go brush his teeth. He's conscious of his mouth odor. So that even when I wake up early in the morning, he has already brushed his teeth. And I'm like, when did this happen? And so you know, and then he starts with all of the romance and kissing your neck and kissing your back, and you just making, there's no way you can resist it. Yes, romance. if you're all if you're all romantic, the kind of man that just sits in the couch, your big tummy, no exercise, your tummy is just like that. You're eating swallow and fufu, and you have a big tummy, and then you just go and climb on the bed and you're snoring, and then you turn around and then you climb on your woman and you have sex, and that's it. That is a turn off. Is a big turn off.
Before you continue, Mrs. Forchu, before you continue, this is what Mr. Felix Anoma writes. Unromantic men don't take their wives to eat out, but taking your wife to a eating house. Go on. I just wanted to read that. Again, we want this very interactive. So if you have comments about what we're saying, please. Tilda Kumichi says dirty underwear and torn socks. Women, you kill us here today. You're crucifying men here. But today is your day. The other day, Mother's Day was the other way around. Yes, Mrs. Fortune, it looks like we've opened a can of worms now about what women call unromantic men. What is unromantic men? Women, we want to hear from you. Post your comments, what you think, what in your view is a man that's not romantic. We want to hear from you. I'm going to read your comments. Yes, Mrs. Fortune, go on.
Oh yeah, sure. We already talked about, you know, and again, you know, this is a cultural thing. Most of our men don't know it. They don't know any better. They don't know any better because all they watch, you know, their parents back home. You go to the farm and come back, and the way you talk to your wife, you have to talk to her in such a way. Who says that a man cannot dress in his boxes and join his wife in the kitchen cooking with no t-shirts? You know, you have your muscles showing, but if you come with your big tummy, man, you know, just wear a t-shirt and cover it. You can, you know, wear your tank top and meet your wife in the bed. Put some cool music. You know, Mr. Fortune likes a certain kind of music. He likes his country music. He plays it. He turns it on, you know. And men these days that is still open the doors for their women. What just happened?
This is chatnet. Yes, go ahead, please. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, if some of the comments are coming, let me know. You know.
Yes, please.
I don't just want to be using Mr. Fortune all this because you know, I've sold him out too much, and I run the risk of somebody coming to knock on my door and shooting me in the face and say, okay, that is the ideal man that we're looking for. And
the Lord is like saying, the Lord is my shepherd. He leads me to green pasture.
Yes, it's like, you know, I've sold him a lot. You know, romantic men that sometimes he would just hold me for no reason. He comes back from work. Mr. Fortune likes, he comes up from work and he will just give you a kiss, even a peck on your forehead, on your lips, and he says, baby, you know what, just rest. Let me go to the kitchen and I'll help you and I'll bring you food. What do you want? You want a glass of water? You want a glass of water? And again, that's him. But you know, men, we like that. We like that. People have already said it, and I think I mentioned it. When you're clean and you're smelling good, that is something that, you know, carries your wife out there. Oh my goodness. In public, the way Mr. Fortune sells me in public to people, it's like men want a replica. They want God to replicate me so many times so they can replace their women in their house and puts me just the way he sells his wife, you know, out there. I consider that so romantic to me. you know, and how he talks about me to people is very romantic to me. And so please go ahead and read some of the comments. Other people have other things that they
Tilda
consider
Kumichi,
romantic.
before I read what Tilda Kumichi writes, if you just joining the broadcast, this is Chat Night Africa, and my guest today is Veronica Forchu, live from Seattle, Washington State. The topic today is, what is it that men do that drive women nuts, that make you want to say, I'm done with this. Enough is enough. So, women, you are watching. This is your day. You have your defense counsel, Mrs. Forchu, on the line. Let us know, what is it that just turns you off? What is it that...
Men.
Yes.
We don't like lazy men. We don't like lazy men. We like men that are go-getters. Get up. Yesterday, Mr. Fortune said that he wanted arrow, one of his favorite food, and he knows that there's arrow coming. And this is what he did. He went to clean our cars. He said this. I said this one that is cleaning cars. It means that that arrow that he's waiting for. He knows his favorite food. He went to wash the cars. He washed 4 cars. And then that arrow was something else for him to get up to go wash cars. That means a lot, And it's like, oh my goodness, Daddy is going to wash cars. It means so I have to cook the arrow with some extra love and make sure the arrow comes out well. The salt, everything is perfect, and the way he sits and he eats it. That when you cook and your husband eats and he enjoys it, it does something to you. As a married woman, it does something to you. The way he will eat it and he will appreciate it. It's even forgetting about the romance in the bedroom. Those are some of the things that will kill a woman. When you take your time and you cook and you present it to your husband and he treats it like nothing. A man who just looks at the food and says, put it there, and he's playing his game and he's not paying no mind, or he eats it and never tells you that, oh, that food is good, or maybe there's a little bit of salt, and the way he takes it to tell you, it matters, And so and that gave me some... As a matter of fact, maybe tonight he's gonna get some just because of the way he did, washing
this
the
is
cars.
This is what Tilda writes. Some men do not even give their wives a call within the day, but rush in egoistically at night to have sex. This is from Tilda Kumichi.
Yes.
Are you getting me?
And that... Exactly. That is why I said that there is a way that you usher yourself into sex. You don't just come to the bedroom and jump on the bed. It starts right from the morning. Let me tell you, a man who wants sex in the night, he starts preparing right from the morning. When he gets up in the morning, he will buy his wife flowers for no good reason, and then buys her a gift for no reason. And he's extremely nice. He'll be opening the doors because that night he knows he wants something. So he starts preparing. He does not prepare when he comes home at night and then he wants it. Then he just wants it. No, he starts preparing. When I see Mr. Fortune getting extremely nice, I just know. I said, Daddy, see now, the thing is yours. You don't have to overwork it. Just men start right in the morning. If you know you're going to ride the horse, start feeding that horse when you wake up in the morning. You don't just come at night. Of course, now, is she a lock of wood? She's not a lock of wood. She has emotions that need to be turned on. You need to work on it. When you just come in the bedroom and you climb on the woman, you're being selfish. It's just for you. She's not involved in that. And that's why I said a lot of our men, we need to educate them to say, just because you climb on the woman and you come means that's all the woman needs. Women, we too, we need to be turned on. We need foul play. You need to take time to know that part of your woman's body that turns her on, that makes her feel good. You involve. Get to know each other's body. There are men that if you ask them the size of their wife's breast, they don't know, because they're just doing it in passing. They're not involved.
Is it that they're doing the whole thing in the dark, or the woman also doesn't want to remove the take of the bra?
The men are emotionally detached. All they want is their sex, and they move on. Most African men have never known how to satisfy their women sexually. It's a cultural thing.
This This is Chat Night Africa. Now, in all relationships, there will be conflicts. We will end the show with how do you resolve these conflicts that we're talking about? How do you do it? What are some of the techniques? I mean, if your husband or your boyfriend is stepping on your nerves, how do you get him to not do it?
We have an honest conversation about the thing that is bothering you. The one thing that is killing our relationship is that we do not communicate. Our communication is in conflict. We fight rather than communicate. Tell the person, tell your husband. I say, babe, you were snoring last night. Yes. And it bothers him. If it's somebody that cares about you, he wants to fix that problem. Last night you went to a party, you came home and you slept, and this odor was coming out of your nostrils. I'm not sure what food you were fed, but it kept me up all night. I didn't like it. We talk about it, and he wants to fix it. Babe, you fart, when I'm eating, or you're under. Here is the thing. On this, every now and then, I will buy it for my husband. Ladies, if your husband's undies are old and they're turning you off, pick them, put them in the trash, and buy him new ones. Go to the store and buy him new ones. They're not very expensive. Marshalls, you go to Ross, you will pick, a dozen of undies for your husband. If that's what turns you on, fix the problem. Buy it for him. Maybe he doesn't know. If his t-shirts, his inner wears are torn and they're brown, and bleach has done its work and it's not working anymore, throw them away, recycle, buy him some new ones. If you don't have money, take the money from him and go buy him some new underwears. Communicate. You cannot fight your way out of the issue. You've got to sit him down and say, this is the thing that I don't like. I don't like you spitting on the road. It's so nasty. Don't do it again. I don't like you flirting with other women when I'm around. I don't like it. We don't communicate. We get angry and then we fight about it. We transfer aggression instead of solving or tackling what the real issue is. You start looking for other problems in just to evade. Don't put things under the rug. Don't shove them up under the rug. What you don't solve, you will still be dealing with it. So here, communicate. Tell your husband, I gave you food the other day and you just treat it like nothing. What's up about that? He will tell you, you're not considering. I sit my husband down. What is it? You're taking sides with your family. I'm your wife. I'm supposed to know what's going on in your life. Communicate. Communication.
But you talk about you talk about communication, and it's communications in a relationship is like blood is to the body. But what are the obstacles to good communication? I mean, people communicate if they're insulting each other. So what is it that blocks communication?
It's the thing. When you're not ready to let down your guard. Pride and arrogance. Pride. When you're arrogant. When you're not ready to let down your guard. You're not ready. Like, sometimes I have a problem that has dragged on for too long, because I know somebody has got to say, here, I'm sorry. Somebody has got to let down their guard and approach your husband and talk to him. Here is the thing. Some of us women, in our mind, we're thinking that he should know better. No, they don't know any better. Our men are like children. And so we treat them like children. You put him down and you school him and you teach him. Women, biblically, are prophetess. You're meant to be, that helper. You're meant to be that person that gives him advice. So they don't know any better. So we have the wrong assumptions and the notion that my husband is matured enough. He should know not to do that. Put him down and talk to him about it. Don't assume that he knows. I did that for, I don't say for how long, but I did it. where I assume, I say he's a grown-up man, he shouldn't do that. He should know. And I'm sitting and I'm getting angry that why will he do that at your age? No, still communicate. What you don't tell him, he will not know. So talk to him about it. Most importantly, one thing that helped me, I will say it over and over. A woman who puts her knees on the ground before the Lord, you will have your head raised up before your husband. God will raise up your head before your husband and his family and the community.
This is what
puts her knees on the ground.
Mrs. Forchu,
Yes.
this is what James Stato writes. Lady Mrs. Forchu, I encourage you to write a book about family relationships for Africans to read. That's what James Stato writes. You talk about communication. I have seen situation, Mrs. Forchu, that the man and the woman in the communication process are behaving like two lawyers in a courtroom. How do you react to that? The man and the woman, they are communicating, but that communication is like two lawyers in a courtroom fighting to win a case.
Same thing I would say that, until I found out that I also have a role to play when there is a problem. I'm not only pointing a finger at my husband, I'm pointing a finger at myself too. So I take a step back and I look, what is it that I'm contributing? What is it that I am doing in my own end? So when you take a look in the mirror and look at your own self, it's going to give you a time to reflect and say, maybe there's something that I need to do differently. There's a lot. I'm not where I think Mr. Forchu tell you, I'm not where probably he wants me to be 100%, but I've come a long way in adjusting a lot of my attitudes and behavior and things that, because many of us, we come with baggages from depending on our background and what our experiences have been. Some of us come with a defensive attitude. You're ready to defend or you're ready to fight because where you came from, that's how you were behaving. So our past relationship and experiences is a roadblock to many of us having civil conversations with each other, because you're taking what happened in the past and you're putting before you. This is a new relationship and you ought to face it as a new start, as a new person, as a different person from your ex, from the person you're coming from, and give that person a chance to be able, so communicate. Let go of your past. Many of us, our past is standing in the way of us making progress in our current relationship. Let go of the past.
This is what somebody sends me through text. Mrs. Forchu, what my husband does that turns me off is he hides his password to social media sites, Facebook, and so on. The second thing is she says gray hair protruding from the nostrils of my husband.
If your husband has gray hair coming out from his nostrils, that's what you need to talk to him about. Honey, I don't like that hair coming out of your nostrils. Let me help you trim it. Help him trim it. And husbands, if you love your wife, you will do what pleases her. Just trim the gray hair. If your wife doesn't like it, that gray hair isn't a problem. Just talk to him about it, honey. Tell him that you don't like the gray hair coming from his nostrils and help him trim it. Here, about the password thing. This is an ongoing thing. I will tell you that even the women that come on social media and tell you that they have their husband's password, I doubt it. I doubt it. Even me talking like this, I've been fighting with Mr. Forchu to have his password. He's never given it to me. That's the one thing men will hold on to. They won't release it because they still want to have that room of some independence every now and then. I know probably, I'm not going to say I'm reading his mind. Probably there are women that will come to your inbox and inbox you without you knowing. And if I go and read it, and then me and him will start to fight, he has no hand, no control over what a girl will come to his inbox and write. Does he? No. And we'll be fighting. And so I've given up on that fight. My dear sister, if your husband is nice, He's treating you good. He's treating you with respect. He's doing everything he can as a husband, as a father. Forget about the password. Let me tell you, if you're a prayerful woman, everything that he's hiding, the Lord will reveal it to you. It happens to me all the time. When Mr. Forchu is about to make a misstep, the Lord will just reveal it to me. Hey, 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 hey. And I come and say, hey, hey, mister, what is it that you're about to do? Yeah. So the Lord will reveal it to you. Pray more. Forget about the pastor. Don't fight with him about it. If he's treating you good and he's treating you the way you deserve to be treated, let go of the password thing. It's not important.
Imagine that somebody visited you in Seattle today, Mrs. Forchu. What would you give the person in a basket to take home? What is the take-home message today? How do you summarize all the things we've said today before we close the show?
So, in as much as our husbands and our men are expecting have a standard for us women, we also have, requirements and a standard for them as well. And that men need to be sensitive to our needs as women. We are sensitive to the needs, and so men need to be sensitive to our needs. Treat your woman the way you want her to treat you. If you know that you don't want your woman to smell bad, you want her to smell good for you when you're making love to her, know that it's the same thing that she expects of you. Clean, good hygiene, good mouth hygiene, you know, being romantic. I know our men will complain that the woman is just flat, you're not involved, you're not moving your body, you're not in it all the way. We're doing it for you. Now, men, you need to start doing it for your woman too. And I praise God. Like I said, let me limit, not talking about Mr. Forchu. You need to start doing things for your women too. If you don't know, I will say this is a time to take time, sit down as a family, and take a notebook. Husband and wife, take a notebook and start writing down some of the things that your wife likes or she loves. Wife, write down the things that your husband loves and make an effort to start taking those things and doing those things. You see, cooperate, work together to make those things happen for each other. Some of us don't even know what our wives want. If you want to know, sit down with her and say, honey, what is it that you want? And then the other day, my husband was trying to figure out, he was like, I don't even know what makes you happy. Like, seriously, I don't know what makes you happy. And then he finally figured out, oh, I know what makes you happy. When you're serving the Lord and praising God and going to church, that's what makes you happy. And so that's why everything that concerns church is giving it to me. That's what makes you happy. So here, take it. Yeah, he found out what makes me happy and he's making it happen. And he would not have found out if he didn't have a conversation with me. So sit down, have a conversation. If you're still struggling to figure out how to please your wife, have a conversation with her. As the things that you're expecting your wife to do for you, know that we women also love those things too. Women love to have orgasm as well, not just you men coming and leaving. When you leave your wife unsatisfied, when you leave those women, they go and they start using funny things just because they want to satisfy themselves. You don't want to get me going. Women be using vibrator when they have husbands at home, or women be using a cucumber when they have husbands at home. Husbands, your first round is for you. Second round is for the woman. If you don't have stamina, eat some bitter cola. Eat some bitter cola and don't just come and go and you leave that woman frustrated like that. If you have not found your points, Mr. This is a secret, Mr. Fortuna. We found out how to come the same time. That's a secret. Don't ask me how, but men, women too, we want to feel it. You guys will just be enjoying only you, and you leave your woman hanging like that. So find a way to satisfy the woman as well. As a family, communication is very important. Communicate. Our homes are void of communication. Don't run away from the problem. Face the problem. and square it out. We need classes to educate our African men how to handle extended family and their immediate family, your in-laws and your wife. That is a struggle that is tearing many homes. And because I have people that women, that is the number one thing. In-laws, 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 in-laws. And the bulk of the responsibility is onto the husband. The husband has a responsibility of fixing that problem. And if they don't know, I think we need to come up with a class to teach our men how to do that. So men, hygiene, cleanliness, smelling good, not just taking your wife for granted. Or I marry her, so you let your stomach grow big into an 8-month-old pregnant woman, and you just be snoring. That big tummy to me is a turn off. If my husband's tummy starts to grow big, I'll tell you, baby, your belly don't start the big. So before you see me, so far she's sleeping in the gym. My wife said my tummy is big. He will be walking out. So don't just take your wife for granted and say I'm marrying her and I'm paying the rent, I'm doing this, and then you let your body just go. That big tummy means you will not have enough stamina to be able to satisfy the woman sexually. Here is a secret. Women, when they get to 45, 50, 55 years old, their sexual drive increases. And so you need to stay on top of that. If you don't stay on top of that, you go and find a small boy. That's the truth. So 45, 55, if nobody said it, stay fit, so you can meet up to your wife's, sexual demands as well. As much as we are meeting onto your demands, we also have needs.
Mrs. Forchu, the last question I have for you, I understand that I asked for your last word. You talk very openly about sexual matters. You are a minister for the gospel. This is not something I see with a lot of our ministers. Why is that so?
What was the last part of the question?
You're a minister of the gospel.
Oh, yeah.
The reason why I did not introduce you as such at the beginning is so that you can talk to everybody without people just shutting doors in your face that, okay, you're bringing that gospel thing here. That's why I didn't introduce you from the beginning as a minister of gospel of the gospel. You talk very openly about sex, which isn't what a lot of ministers, pastors, and priests do. Why is that so? What are you trying to achieve?
And they evade talking about sex. It's how would I put that? That's hypocrisy, because sex itself was made by God. He made it for couples to enjoy and have fun. And so you cannot avoid talking about it. How are you going to teach your audience to satisfy each other if you don't talk about it? The reason why men of God are falling into temptation is for this reason. They're not facing the problem. Many of them are not being sexually satisfied in their homes, so they go out there. They're avoiding talking about the topic. To me, is, how will I say, carnality or what? There's nowhere in the Bible that says that talking about sex is a sin. As a matter of fact, we need to be talking more to our couples, because a lot of them are not getting it in their homes. Women are getting it wrong. Women who choose to go and do fasting and starve their husbands, and then the husbands to go out and cheat, or husbands who don't expect their wives to be sexually active in a certain way. God gave you sex. Enjoy it with your wife and your husband. Enjoy it with your wife and husband. And there should be no shame in talking about it. If I become a pastor, I will be talking about it in front of the audience. The children are in the children's section. We will have couples evening and we'll be talking about it. They don't talk about it. That's why these men go out there. As soon as Sister Patience come with her sexual thing, the pastor is falling because the wife has become so holy, 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 and you're not sexy. Don't you guys see me? Look at my hair. Me, I'm a hot minister of the Lord. They did not say that to be minister of the Lord and become country, and that's the what we portray to people. That's because you're a Christian, you have to appear a certain way, appear like you're suffering. I'm not suffering, no. I'm a diva for the Lord. I dress sexy and decent. You can be sexy and decent in love for the Lord. I don't think that talking about sex is any boundary because of religion. Why? How will
Thank you
you teach
for
people?
Thank you for that illumination. It's very important that we get this, that we talk this, we are blunt about this because people are suffering in their homes silently, and that's why we think that at chat night we put all cards on the table. If it matters to you, it matters to us. That's why it matters to Minister Veronica Forchu. When don't tell me that you've known this, that you know this. Somebody, my friend Alain Menge, he was doing a joke. He said, America is the only place where before you say something, somebody says, I know, I know, I know. Don't say you know this. It is what is not what you know that matters. It is what you do with what you know that begins to make a difference. Once you stop learning, you begin to die, because learning is a continuous manuring of the mind. You are goodbye for the evening. What is it today, Mrs. Fortune?
Men, our daddies and our husbands in the house, before you decided that you wanted to marry that woman, you must have had something in your heart that sparked you to want to marry her. And so please, instead of running at the opportunity of every little issue that you have, stay home and trying to fix it with your wife. If there's something that your wife is complaining about, look into it, take a second look and fix it. Don't just dismiss her and don't see into her demand. We need to encourage our women as well to come out sexually. It's not just in the church. Many of our women are not expressing themselves sexually as well, and it is a problem. Encourage your wife, in the way you talk to her. Honey, how do you want me to please you? My husband does it for me. He asks me, how do you want me to please you? How do you want me to do it? Do you want me to change the style? You want me to do this? And so it boils down to communicating, and communicating in a very romantic way is very sweet. And I'm praying that many and many of our families that are struggling today, that they will begin to make changes even in their sexual life. They will make changes in their personal life, and that's the level of divorce and the level of infighting and separation that we're seeing. We're going to do something about it in our community. It's heartbreaking, it's nerve-wracking, it's breaking hearts. Children are suffering. So let's do something. Think about it. Take a second look. It's the woman you decided to get married. And so don't just walk away and jump to go find another person because you have an option. Let's do everything in your power to keep your family together. And if it doesn't work, then you tried your best. Don't just walk away. Let's try. Marriage is sweet if you work together. It doesn't say that they're not going to be problems. You're going to have misunderstanding. That's why you're two different individuals. But let the love that you started with be strong enough to be able to guide you through those times when you have problems. Let God be the foundation of your relationship. I'm telling you that a lot of things have changed in my home because of the foundation of Christ. And the things I let go, the things I learned to sacrifice, the things I endure, not endure, the long suffering, for your partner, to give them time to be able to change certain things and give yourself time. And let's do a self-reflection. Reflect on yourself. It's not always a woman's fault or not always a man's fault. What is it that I'm doing? How can I fix it and how can I change it? And I think we'll begin to see some changes in our relationship. The man and the husband that came to me to complain that his wife was not giving him enough sex. He was having sex maybe 4 times a month. Now it's maybe 1 time a month since the baby came. And we had a long talk, and I told him, I said, this is what you're supposed to do. Start helping your wife do some chores in the house. The more load you reduce from her, the more time she's going to have to spend with you. The more you help her, the more time she'll have to give you sex. And he's been doing it, and things have been better. And I'm also teaching my own self, because sometimes my husband has to remind me, oh, you're telling people to do this, and now this is me. Can somebody imagine that I'm complaining and not giving me enough sex? Mr. Forchu.
Look, listen, this
Thank you.
relationships is a school. We learn every day.
Exactly.
I'm bothered. Let me tell you something. One of my teachers in journalism, Luke Kananga of blessed memory, he told me always one thing, that divine, you should never get to a point, no matter how well you perform, that you think you can no longer learn. It's the same thing in marriage. It's the same thing in relationships. People get into trouble when they think they know so much and they can no longer learn anything. Oh, I know. Before you open your mouth, I know. That's America. But if you're going to have to grow, you're going to have to learn every day. It doesn't matter. Education has nothing to do with this. You can have 20 PhDs. That doesn't guarantee it. We have to learn every day.
We live, we learn. We live, we learn. And marriage is the place where you learn. Yes.
Swallow your pride. Nobody ever choked because he or she swallowed their pride. Pride is a relationship killer. Thank you.
Exactly.
Thank you so much. You've been, so much as usual, so brilliant.
It's been a pleasure.
I'll be the one to thank you. I want to thank Tilda Kumichi. Well, Dikuba Patient says, Mrs. Forchu, I need to talk with you personally. That's fine. I can tell you, Mrs. Forchu is one of the nicest human beings I have met. Believe me, we talk offline a lot. She is one of the sweetest human beings you can think of communicating with. Oh, I forgot. Extend my thanks to your wonderful husband for taking care of the baby so he can come on the platform. Valerie Forchu is a top-notch gentleman.
I know.
The suits he wears just blows my mind. His shoes, he looks so trim. I can now know why you are so mad, crazy in love with him. Vero, I know. I know.
He's off limits, ladies. This is on air. Off limits. Me, I'll fight like Jackie Chan. Don't come
This guy tunes up the engine every damn day, like they say in America. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you all so much. Thank you for having me on Chat Night Africa. Thank you, viewers. Thank you. God bless you. Good night.
Okay, thank you. As Mrs. Forchu exits, I will also thank Bold Elegance. Bold and Elegance, if you want some of the best handcrafted top grain leather shoes, Bold and Elegance, you can think about Bold and Elegance. They are my sponsors on Chat Night Africa. They are also on Facebook. I want to thank all of you for watching this show. Share it, help people. People are suffering. Help them. We're just not doing this for fun. We're doing this because we know that it matters to you. People need help. And if it matters to you, it matters to us. That has been Chat Night Africa. My name is Divine Chiamukong. Thank you all for watching. Some music for you. That has been Chat Night Africa. My studio producer, Beat is Formulated. Emmanuel Boyindi, Jonathan Bongachwaya. Music provided by Dan Eno.
Nakanisi bino moko boyebi malamu baninga bokeba na yebite soki boko dute na maloba mangai nakanisi peteo
That Night Africa live from Washington DC metropolitan area. Share this broadcast, tell your friends.
Leonard soki bana mibali balingani lokola bakufa elenge ya mosi ya kokinde kokabola bango soki ya koti na kati na bango na likambo ya falanga nakanisi bino moko boyebi malamu baninga bokeba soki boko dute na maloba mangai nakanisi peteo na makambo oyo koti ya tembete baninga
Merci à tout le monde.
kende epai ya basusi makambo bakosambaka mosusu yango oyo likambo tokowelaka likambo ya mbongo na basi eboma mboka baninga mibali yo tokebaka la vie est un combat.
La vie est un combat.
Na makambo oyo koti ya tembete baninga bangai boye kende epai ya basusi makambo bakosambaka mosusu yango oyo likambo tokowelaka likambo ya mbongo na basi eboma mboka baninga mibali yo tokebaka la vie est un combat oye
If you still have questions, you can post them. Veronica, Forchu, Tilda Kumichi will answer the questions in the green room. You can continue to post your questions.
Jordi Mbaka, mwana ya mama.
Chat Night Africa. If it matters to you, it matters to us. Thank you.